Okay, so hopefully this one will actually work. I just learned from Tiffany that she tried to play the recording and only 14 seconds of the sound test recorded. So I'm not sure why that happened. Gonna double check this one before I send it out, but here it is. Again, a quick tutorial on how to edit your title block so that you can get all your views set up without having to use InDesign if you're using Revit. So I'm gonna share my screen. This time it's gonna be even better than the last time. That's all I can say about that. I'll be quicker. So I am using Autodesk Revit 2025. That's the version. I have a project open. Typically, I don't use the out-of-the-box Revit template, but for this particular project that I have, I am using the out-of-the-box Revit template because I am actually trying to 3D print a model for a project that I'm working on. And I'm just doing that in a completely generic place because I'm just creating STL files that I can send to a 3D printer. And this is, you know, a portion of that 3D printer, 3D model that I want to 3D print. And you can see that yesterday when I did this tutorial, I had already started to show what our title block needs to look like. So if I went back to where you can make sheets on your Revit tree on the left, you can see the sheets here. If I right click on that, I can always say new sheet. And, you know, there's a default title block that is loaded in there. That's the one that I started with, the D22 by 34 default. But I'm going to use this B11 by 17 one right now because I already edited this 22 by 34 to be the one that you see there. So because this is the second attempt, we'll use that one. I will say okay. So you can see what comes up is this, you know, not so great looking title block. And we want to edit it so that it looks a little bit more like the one that I was just showing you. And this is what that one ended up being. I didn't finish it. I just kind of started showing what it was. So again, because we want to make this really quick, I'm going to try and be pretty efficient. So edit the family. Title blocks in Revit are families. So that's exactly what you're going to be doing is just editing family. They're also not as complicated as you might think. They're just lines. So all of these things, these are just lines. This is actually some type of like table that can update. So it's like an element and you're not going to need that. You don't need Autodesk's logo or their, so you don't need any of these things. So you can kind of get rid of however many of these things as you think you. I would keep the labels so that you can use the labels and you'll see how in a second. Okay. You decide whether or not you want to keep your date. I find that the date can sometimes be useful, but this will give you basically every element that you need to create your own title block with the exception of a field region that we're going to make in a minute. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go file and I will say save as a family. You can save it wherever it just so. I'm gonna make sure that I'm showing the right screen. Yes, I am. All right, so save as. You can see that the 3D printing folder that I had created is what's on, which is fine. I'm just going to save it here. We're gonna call this one 24 by 36 ARC 502. And, you know, I don't think that the word horizontal needs to be here, but sometimes we have portraits, sometimes we have landscapes. So Revit deems it horizontal. This is going to be horizontal, so I'll leave that designation in there. And then I'm going to say save, and I'm going to just save it with my families that I have already for this project. So save. Okay, so now that I have saved this as, I can edit it. The best way to edit this in Revit is that you will take your dimension and dimension your title block in both the directions. That's the first thing that I tend to do. the dimension, so if I click on this one and this gets highlighted, I can change this dimension and then this line would push to the right. If I click on this one and I change that dimension that gets highlighted, this line would push to the left. The best way to make edits accurately in Revit is to use your dimensions so that if you use one of your linear dimensions and you're snapping to that element, it will let you edit it. So I know that this dimension needs to be 36 or 3 feet. So I'm going to enter 3. And I know that, and notice how I'm like pushing up and left just so that I keep this closer to the bottom, right, where the title block should have it. That's really the only reason why I'm doing it like this. So I'm going to click on the top line and I'm going to change that from 11 to 2 feet or 24 inches. And now I have a 24 by 36 title block. And it's awesome. That's what I need. The second thing that I need to show up before I get into editing the labels and all of that is that the title block for our project that we gave you on InDesign has a shaded portion on a line. So to get that in here, you're going to go to Create, and you're going to use the Fill Region tool to make that. So we're going to make that, and then I'm going to go with the rectangle. I'm going to swipe right there. I'm going to make my Fill Region. I'm going to make it be 2 inches. You know, it might be a little more than that. It might be, you may need to just look that up. I'm going to say 2.5, and then I'm going to finish that Fill Region. Now, it's not going to be that great. You see, this is like crosshatch because it's the default Fill Region. So how do we make a new one? You click on the Fill Region that you just made and go to Edit Type. In the Edit Type category, duplicate the Fill Region. And it's fine for me for this to be called Fill Region number 2 because this is the title block content. So it doesn't really matter. So duplicate Fill Region, call it Fill Region number 2 or whatever you think it should be called. And instead of diagonal crosshatch, I'm going to switch that to a solid fill because that's what we're looking for. So solid fill, and instead of this color, which is right now solid black, I'm going to go with that. And on the left-hand side, you can see that you can actually maybe go a little higher. So RGB 221 to 21 to 21. I'm going to try and do the same thing here. And hopefully they match. Not quite. Must click a little bit. So when that happens, you know, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. So they're exactly identical. And now we have the color, and voila. So we have the Fill Region here. So this Fill Region right now has lines around it that you don't want necessarily to show up as part of your title block. So it will have an outline, and we don't want that. So there's another little bit of editing that we need to do to the Fill Region, just very quickly. Sorry, not here, but rather than editing the type, you're going to click on it, and you're going to edit the sketch. So edit the sketch, and you're going to highlight all the lines in that Fill Region. And when you do, you'll see that there is this subcategory is showing you all the lines that are available for you to use. These are the drafting lines that you have, the pens, if you will, that are included in here. You want invisible lines. Invisible line has a 0 value, so it will not print. And when you finish, that line disappeared, and now the only lines that you have are the true outlines. So that's pretty easy to do. Now, we want to, not sure why it's not letting me rotate it. There we go. So you rotate that. So that's the label. So these labels on this title block, which I never like, have an actual background, and you don't want that white thing in there. So we're gonna edit the label, and that parameter is coming out of this thing that says background is opaque. Sometimes we want the background to be opaque because it comes in handy, it obscures other stuff, but that's not what you want right here. You want a transparent background. Another thing that you can change here is the font. So if you wanted a different font, you could find it here. And let's just say I'm gonna use Helvetica because it's a nicer font than Arial. But just make sure that you're matching what our template says that you need to match. I'm going to use this Helvetica 65 medium, which is something that I use. And yes, the color is black, transparent, and the text size is here. So all of these things, all of those parameters you can change, you apply, you say, okay. And now this is sitting right there without much. I think our title block also has this kind of a line somewhere where then there is like one side is the information. So another thing that you may want to look at is, for example, you want to edit this label, and I can't show you exactly. Let's see. I want to edit the label. So you see the alignment here. This is how it is aligning. This is exactly like it would be on your Word. So when you click on the label, you will want this one to, instead of aligning left, you want it to go right. And the vertical alignment top is good. And that way, when you start creating this little cluster of information that has to be here, kind of justifying itself against this line, that's how you would do it. And then you would change the same for the information that is on the other side. And you can use these, or so you can click on that little rotate tool. And if you click it just right, and you see how it's kind of picking that or aligning. It's different. So this one is aligning to the bottom. So if you tell it to align top and left, it should be the opposite of the one that you have. And now they will justify against each other. You can see those little dashed lines that are showing up. And that's what you want. And let's just, for the sake of argument, say that's how that should be. I'm going to get rid of a lot of this because I don't want it. You can obviously add, move we have 2 dates. We don't need 2 dates. The scale is good. Sheet name is good. I don't need these. But what I do need is a sheet number. I'm going to use that one. The scale label is still sort of set up with an opaque background, but I just showed you how to remove that so you can edit that. And this guy, I'm going to move a little bit to the bottom. I'm going to also tell it to be aligning to the right, and the vertical alignment, I want it to be bottom. And very simply put it there. You don't have to edit it here. You'll be able to edit the content of these labels in the project itself. These are smart, and they don't need to be edited here. You'll edit the font on your project once you insert it. So I'm gonna put this here. I don't like that this guy, again, has the opaque background, so I'm gonna change that to transparent. I'm not gonna do all the editing. I'll let you guys figure that out. And that's it. That's pretty much my title block. It doesn't matter if you leave these dimensions here, but I'll delete them from mine for now. I'm gonna put this date thing somewhere in here. Again, I don't like that it has the opaque background. I'm gonna delete the opaque background. I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna say okay. If you wanted both opaque and transparent options, all you have to do is do a save as, right? So just kind of make a new one for yourself. And this is it. And then this is sort of like a thing where you can put this over here. Now, if this is supposed to be at the top and justify itself to the top, you know what you need to do. You will tell this tag label that is 3/16. You need to go edit the type. You need to make a new one so that you're not overwriting the parameters of every tag label. So you would make a new one, duplicate it, say 2, which is fine, and say okay. And then there is that. And now number 2 is the one that justifies to the right. And that way it will stay closer to that. That's it. So this is pretty close to what I need. And I think it gives you plenty to understand what it is that you need to do to edit these guys. So once you're done, you can load it into your project. Right now, I'm working on this project number 2, a house on Windsor, and you can kind of see. So now I have another title block. This is the one that I did last night that didn't record, but this is the one that I just did. And it's going to be funky like this, but you can edit it and it will show up just fine. So we will call this page 55. And if this is page 55, this is page 55, okay? So that's kind of one of the funky things about this. So what you really want to do is change this one to the one that you just loaded. So rather, and then we can delete that one. And you can align your views to that. This is just a separate view that I'm using to print and check some dimensions. So we don't need those. And this is a plus or minus kind of thing. This is your title. You haven't figured out how to deal with these guys in Revit. They're kind of funky. Whenever you have a title that shows up, it's named like the view. And the way that you edit the view title is that you have to click on the view and then this becomes active. And now you can mess with this. You can rename it, do any number of things. And good. But if you just want to move this line around in the location, move it, you can't click on the view. You have to do it independently. So then, you know, let's just say I want that title there. And that's it. That's all it takes. So I hope that's a quick one. Sorry, Tiffany, that I sent this out and that it wasn't working. I don't know really what happened. It seems like maybe I accidentally stopped recording after the test, but here it is. I hope this helps and I will stop my share and see you this soon.